Imagine for a moment a world with no snakes. To many people, most of us even, this may sound like an absolute dream. However, such a world could quickly turn into a nightmare. A world where one of the biggest predators of rodents is just absent would easily become a world crawling with mice and rats. It doesn't end there either. A world overpopulated with rodents is highly likely to be overrun with other pests like fleas and ticks as well. Nobody likes mice and rats or fleas and ticks, but if controlling pest populations isn't enough to make you appreciate snakes, wait until you find out all the other ways that snakes help humans exist and advance. The subject of snakes can be a sensitive one due to phobias and commonly spread misconceptions. However, snakes are a vital part of Earth's ecosystem, and they contribute to many important treatments and advancements. I have a fondness for all reptiles and enjoy advocating for their conservation. Snakes are largely misunderstood and often become the subject of misinformation and exaggerated stories. I hope to combat some of that today. I personally own a corn snake and have volunteered at exotic rescues with wildlife rehabilitators and even at zoos. I have also listed all outside sources that I used in my research for my presentation. These include, but are not limited to, sources like the North Carolina Wildlife Commission, the University of Florida, and Duke University. My goal today is to answer the following questions and to provide you with information to help you safely coexist with snakes. Are snakes really that important in terms of ecology? How could snakes possibly be saving lives? Aren't snakes aggressive and deadly? To begin, snakes are incredibly important from an ecological standpoint. Snakes are consumers that keep pest species in check. They also directly control populations of pest species like rodents. Nicolette Cagle with Duke University explains that increases in the rodent population would be a problem for agriculture, for the spread of disease, and for plant biodiversity. We can break this down further as we discuss. On the topic of disease, snakes help control pests like fleas and ticks by inadvertently consuming them on prey animals. This further helps to cut down on disease spread. Without snakes, diseases could spread and mutate much more easily. As far as biodiversity goes, an increase in a rodent population means more organisms that consume crops and other plant life. Biodiversity would also be negatively impacted from a vector species standpoint and from the standpoint of a decline in predatory and scavenging species. Cagle explains that snakes are right in the middle, serving as food to large birds of prey like hawks, in addition to keeping rodent populations in check. This means that as well as being important predators, they're also important prey items higher up on the food web like foxes, bobcats, bears, etc. If understanding ecological significance hasn't swayed you, let's discuss the medical potential. Venom is an invaluable tool in the realms of both science and medicine. Probably the most obvious use for snake venom is the production of antivenom. This is one of the biggest contributing factors in our country's low snakebite mortality rate. According to the Indiana Times, peptides modeled from snake venom can potentially reduce the progression of neurodegenerative diseases like Alzheimer's and Parkinson's before they advance. Snake venom is also used in the production of captopril, which is a drug that's used to treat high blood pressure. Proteins within the venom are being researched as a potential component in treatments for cancers, such as breast cancer. According to Frank Markland, a biochemistry professor at the University of Southern California, not only did the injection of this protein inhibit the growth of tumors, but it also slowed the growth of blood vessels that go into the tumors. Now that we have a better understanding of both the ecological and medical significance of snakes, I'd like to combat one of the most common misconceptions about snakes and offer some suggestions for safely coexisting with them. Many people operate under the myth that snakes are aggressive creatures. That's simply untrue. Snakes are not aggressive. Rather, they become defensive when they perceive a threat. Andrew Moore with North Carolina State's College of Natural Resources explains that snakes are not aggressive towards humans. The only time they might become aggressive is if someone tries to pick one up or disturb them. Even then, most of them are just trying to crawl away or get away from a situation. According to the Library Science Center, nearly all cases of bites occur when snakes are being handled without proper training. There are ways to discourage snakes from coming near your home, as well as resources for having snakes relocated from your home if needed. The best way to keep snakes away is through preventative measures. There are no repellents proven to work against snakes, and many are simply nothing more than a hazard. Mothballs being the best example. They're horrible for the environment and detrimental to our health. They're also illegal when used outdoors or in ways that are not listed on the label. Keeping your grass mowed, removing debris and trash from your yard, keeping all cracks and crevices properly sealed, and checking shoes that are left outside are all ways that you can discourage snakes from taking up residence on your property. Directories exist that list people who relocate snakes for free. If one of those people are unavailable, many state wildlife agencies have people who will come out and relocate snakes, and as a last resort, pest control companies will come out and remove them. According to North Carolina's Wildlife Commission, removing one snake is not going to stop another from taking its place. I would compare it to being an employee, and you leave your job, someone is going to be hired to take your place. When one snake's removed, it means that food sources will start to proliferate. If you don't have something to control the rodents, they're going to get out of control, and that's going to then attract other snakes, and then you might actually get more snakes. As I begin to wrap things up, I'd like to implore you to set aside any preconceived notions and to really open your mind up for a few minutes. Despite being some of the world's most hated organisms, snakes are very misunderstood and extremely precious ecological gems with the potential to drive so many incredible life-changing medical advancements. Over a third of those surveyed prior to this presentation admitted that they had killed a snake or would kill a snake when encountering one. Now that you know the importance of snakes, would you look at them differently? Do you plan to learn more about snakes in your area? Will you find and make a list of local relocators to call if you do happen upon a snake? The next time you cross paths with a snake and it reacts defensively, I want you to ask yourself how you would react if you came face to face with something much bigger than you. I'm willing to bet that you would run if you had the chance and defend yourself if you didn't. Thank you for your time and consideration.